Welcome to Art's Place, conservative talk from a different view, from the Casablanca studio in Golden, Colorado. Hosted by Art Carlson. At 4'6", liberals fear him, and conservatives love him. He's definitely a giant among men. Now here's your host, Art Carlson.
Welcome to another episode of Art's Place, conservative talk from a different view, and my handsome sidekick, Lloyd Mendenhall, the grumpy vlogger. Welcome, Lloyd. And before we get on, happy anniversary to you and Judy.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I appreciate it. I switched scenes and I didn't have your audio on for a second. That's why I kind of interrupted your introduction at first because I couldn't hear what you were saying. one of the phobials of working with vMix.
Right. Hey, Lloyd, could you turn up your volume just a tad bit? You're a little soft there.
Okay.
So that our viewing audience... hey, Mason Kaiser, welcome to the show.
Go. How's that?
Much better.
I'm scared if I go too loud, I'll... okay. Let me turn my headsets down because I'm blaring in my ears.
Oh, okay.
So, all right. Okay. Let me get the chat brought up so I can see what's going on here.
All right. Yeah,
so
Mason Kaiser is in. And good afternoon, Mason. We've got a great show today. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about. We're going to talk about California's new law that just came into effect on July 1st, requiring people who want to buy ammo to pass a background check to get ammo. And then we're going to talk about Joshua Hosler's column in the Denver Post about RMGO, known as Rocky Mountain Gun Owners, and how he equates them to the Taliban. And then we're going to talk about Frederick Wilson. She's a congresswoman from Florida. She's unforgettable. She's the one that always wears those rhinestone-studded cowboy hats. And she wants to prosecute anybody making fun of members of Congress. Interesting. Okay, those are some of the big topics
they didn't have all those clowns.
We're going to be tackling today.
Okay, all right. It sounds like a winner. Yeah, there's a couple things I wanted to...
okay.
I've been paying attention to in the news, too, so... you're the host. Go away. Head on.
All right, let's talk about that California law that just went into effect about a week ago, where anybody buying ammo has to pass a background check. To me, this is just another layer of gun control that's not going to... all it's going to control are the law-abiding people. The criminals, they don't care. They're going to get the ammo any way they can.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's already been proven so many times. Look at Chicago. Some of the strictest gun control laws in the nation. And they have more deaths every weekend than most states have in a year. Mm-hmm. Or than a lot of states have in a year. I can't really talk about Oklahoma because here lately, Tulsa has really been, I don't know what's been going on up there in Tulsa. Those people have just gone nuts, you know, and they're just, and of course you can't say anything because this is YouTube, because now YouTube has YouTube now has this policy that you can't talk bad about anybody, you know. So
Yeah.
those of you that are paying attention to us in art, we'll get together sometime this next week. I want you to, well, you already know about it, LBRY library.org. They're another platform that is allowing YouTubers to put their stuff up. They're a conservative group.
Okay, cool.
They have free speech, and they will, I've already started doing it, they will sync your YouTube stuff to their stuff. So if YouTube takes it down, they've still got it.
Awesome.
So
that is great to know.
Great, yeah. A lot of the guys that have been demonetized because of their, because of the
topics they cover.
Apocalypse. Yeah.
Right.
A lot of them have moved there already, and I hear more and more people are moving. I've got an account there, and I already have my stuff going up over there. So, but anyways, as I was saying about North Tulsa, that part of Tulsa is predominantly a certain group of people, and there's a lot of drugs over there. There's a lot of criminality over there, and that's where the highest percentage of shootings are at.
Wow.
Also, you need to say hi to Chris Hope, who just joined us.
All right, Chris. Welcome to the show. All right.
But you're right. Those California laws are going to do nothing but take the ammunition from the law-abiding citizens and giving them to the criminals.
Yeah, in California, their gun laws are getting stricter and stricter. Colorado just passed the red flag bill here, and I imagine California either has it or will have it down the road. And
I think they already do.
If the Democrats keep control of the House and the Senate here in Colorado, and we still have Governor Polis, I wouldn't be surprised if they would float a bill like that to make people pass a background check.
Oh, yeah. And what's a background? You can't buy a gun without a background check anyways. So what's the difference? You've already done a background check. I mean,
Well, they probably want to keep tabs on how much ammo you're buying. So
exactly.
They probably have a level where they deem that, if you go past that level, they go, that's suspicious. We better deny that person that ammo.
Yeah. Here's the thing. If I don't know if you shoot or not, but I do. I buy a box of ammo, 30 rounds. I go out to the range. It takes 2 boxes just for me to I can go through 2 boxes easy. Just, especially like with a rifle, I can go through a box easy with those.
Right.
Because, sighting in my rifle and stuff like that. And when I'm out shooting my pistol, I'm out shooting for fun. When I'm taking it out to the range, a box of ammo is nothing to go through. So, if I buy ammo, I buy 3-4 boxes at a time, because if I'm going to go out shooting, that's what I'm going to have. And that's with my pistol. So, yeah, it's just another way to keep track of the, some more Nazism in the socialist nation of California.
Yep. Well, here in Colorado, we have what's called restrictions on the size of gun magazines. So I think the maximum you could have is like 7 or 10, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
I'm like going.
Well, when I was growing up in Colorado, you could only have 5 rounds in your gun, period.
Right.
That's it, in your rifle.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, you get buck fever, and you're a 12, 13-year-old kid seeing your first buck. I guarantee you, I went through 5 shots real easy.
Yeah. Yeah,
and I didn't hit anything. It took me about 10. But Chris Hope brought up something. Used to be standard to carry a rifle in the rack in your windows in your back of your pickup truck.
Oh, yeah.
I did it. God, That's why we didn't have school shootings. Some idiot comes to our school to shoot. Everybody runs out the parking lot, grabs their gun, rifle out of the rack, and shoots back.
Right.
You know,
Right.
that was the way it was. But we didn't shoot each other.
Yeah.
Those guns sat out there. They didn't get stolen. You locked them up. You know.
And they didn't
I mean,
jump out of the car and start shooting people by themselves.
I never saw one of those guns kill anybody by themselves, and they sat out there all day in that parking lot.
Yep. Yep.
Because a lot of us living in Colorado, I lived over in Grand Junction in high school. A lot of us, we'd go hunting before school, you know.
Right.
And then as soon as school was out, we'd take off and go hunting again during hunting season. You know. Why go home when you got everything you need right in the back of your truck?
Yeah, that's
you know?
right. That's right.
Let me get that link to that.
Yeah, go ahead.
And put that up because Mason was asking about that.
And also, some states are even charging huge taxes on ammo purchases. They're trying to, discourage people like they did with smoking. They figured, well, we'll make it so expensive that people will stop buying ammunition. Well, all that's going to do is start a black market where people are going to start buying their ammo off the black market.
Yeah, well, if you remember, let me get this and copy this here. Put this up here. When you can't use this on a iOS device, but you can use it on any other device. They're working on getting the iOS set up.
Oh, okay.
But it's an app that you download for this library, but it gives you access to everything. And you download the app it's a Windows app, so,
right.
you know, let me put that up there. And then you can download the app and you can just scroll, because by having an app, you've got one dedicated thing. You don't have a lot of other stuff.
Right.
You're not being limited and stuff, but it's lbry.com. And
LDRY. Okay.
LB.
LB.
Library.
Oh, okay.
LBRY.
Okay,
yeah,
I thought it was some Mormon
LBGT
thing going on there.
Yeah.
LD.
No. Yeah, it's not the LBGT
Oh, okay.
ABCD group either. No, these are, a lot of these guys are patriots, and
Cool.
what I call patriots, people that celebrate the nation's. Anyways, I've digressed. Go on with what you were saying, Art.
Okay. And this kind of really leads into our next topic, Joshua Hosler, who is a former chairman of the El Paso County Republican Party, former regional director for Southern Colorado, at Bob Beaupre for governor, and he's also he served in the military, and I believe he went to Afghanistan. Okay, here's the article. I am going to, okay, this is Dateline, July 7, 2019. It starts off saying, in 2010, I was in Helmand province in Afghanistan, and our unit was providing security for the Afghan election board. Over the coming weeks, I saw the election board comprised of more than 20 men riding around in old dump trucks while getting shot at and blown up. They and their families were threatened and killed by the Taliban. The Taliban did not want a free and thriving Afghanistan. The Taliban wanted power, money, control over politicians, to terrorize women, and to extort those who did not do their bidding. But those men in the dump truck made history by holding the first elections in generations that allowed women to vote. When I got out of the Marines, I vowed to have the same resolve and serve Americans that did not have a voice. That's why I must okay. Okay. I'm just gonna go.
Did you lose your place?
Yeah, I did lose my place. The way he had it set up on his Facebook page, it kind of okay. Okay, when I got out of the Marines, I vowed to have the same resolve to serve Americans that did not have a voice. That is why I must reveal the Rocky Mountain Gun Owners Organization for what it is, Colorado's Taliban. Anyone who's been around politics in Colorado for at least an election or two knows that RMGO and its leader, Dudley Brown, have bullied more Republicans than Democrats since its inception as a nonprofit in 1996 that advocates for gun rights. These are Chicago-style tactics employed by RMGO and its cronies to punish Republicans who don't march in lockstep with their agenda. To be fair, Dudley Brown brags about not being a Republican. Actually, he once said in an interview, if it's a group of charging rhinos, Republicans in name only, you better shoot the very lead one or you're never going to stop them all. By pointing out the evil that is RMGO, I'm not attacking Republicans. Quite the opposite. RMGO has raised millions of dollars for pro-Second Amendment legislation. Yet RMGO hasn't been able to get one bill passed in almost 25 years. Brown instead told Talk Radio he tried to ruin former Republican State Rep Cole Wist's life in the 2018 campaign season because he supported a proposed red flag law. I was very publicly against the bill, but at no point did I want to lose more Republican seats to the Democrats as we did in Wist's formerly competitive House District 32nd. That strategy what will turn our state blue for good. Even former Colorado Congressman Tom Tancredo came out against RMGO and Brown's methods of forcing politicians to dance to his tune. In May, I spoke out on social media. RMGO had launched an effort to recall Representative Tom Sullivan, the Democrat who defeated Wist and taken the seat in the Colorado House. Members of the Republican Party's leadership supported RMGO's efforts and felt this felt like a mistake. Several weeks later, I wrote on Twitter, I still haven't found one person to explain how having Dudley Brown and RMG owners and national gun rights anywhere near Colorado GOP and representatives and will be smart strategic choice when the Democrats have a male that fits their stereotypes of Republicans in Colorado politics. After that post, I received 3 calls from anonymous men who threatened me and my family if I did not back off RMGO and Dudley Brown. No one messes with my family, especially cowards. Then things got worse. On May 30th at 2:50 p.m., I received a call from the Chief of Staff for the Colorado House Republicans, Jim Paff, who works directly for House Minority Leader Patrick Neville. He asked when I was going to stop attacking RMGO and Dudley Brown. I responded, I am not going to stop. Paff then threatened to smear me with false rumors that I had heard before from someone close to RMGO to try to influence my decision. that I rigged the party chair election and had inappropriate relationships with women in the Republican Party. I told Paff that I already heard those fake rumors and it was old news. Paff stated, "I'm sure I will find more on you." I was shocked that the House GOP chief of staff would defend a proud attacker of Republican candidates while doing opposition research trying to extort supporter of Republicans. At the end of the conversation, Jim Path said he was going to take the post on Twitter that we had agreed to work together and that I should commit or retweet it after. Paff was confident that the extortion worked. Paff made his Twitter post, but obviously his call did not work as intended. Instead, I wrote this op-ed. And okay, let's see. And it says, I'm sorry if I'm rambling, but I'm reading from the Denver Post article. Countless Colorados have shared their stories how RMGO and Dudley Brown smeared, bullied candidates, elected officials, voters, and delegates. Paff told me I would become unelectable if I did not back off RMGO and Brown. I, and especially my wife, would be more than okay with that. But I will not sell my soul to a devil like Jim Paff and not stand up to the cancer that is RMGO. RMGO, Dudley Brown, and Jim Paff are not a partisan problem. They are a Colorado problem. I will not be silent. I will not ask Minority Leader Pat Neville to fire Jim Paff. It's up to Neville how he runs his house. Joshua Hosler, former head of the El Paso Republican Party. So that is that little firestorm that's going on. And what say you, Lloyd? What do you think about that?
Well, I was listening to that, and I had several thoughts on this. Okay, the what is it? The
RMGO, Rocky Mountain Gun Owners.
RMGO. Okay.
Right.
As happens with a lot of these, what I call firebrand groups, you know, the old Bible thumping firebrand, hell and brimstone type groups, they end up becoming more detrimental to their cause than they do anything else. Okay. You and I, you've talked about these guys before, and here's my observation from sitting on the outside of Colorado and looking in. Because we've got a group like that here too. That is, you know, and they're hurting the gun owners. Do we need to do something about rhinos? Yeah. Do we need to lose seats to Democrats or Democrat socialist? No. And so what do we do about that? What we do is we start finding these people, and we find candidates that can run against them. We don't sit around. You know, that's the problem with the Republican Party for so long. They sit around wringing their hands. They don't want to say anything that's going to offend anybody, because then they'll be classified as a homophobe, a racist, a Nazi, anarchist, you know, whatever. And this congressman's right, or this former head of the party there in El Paso County, he's absolutely right. These guys are bullies. And we've got the same type of group running around. And what they need to understand, I have an author friend that sent me something. It was written in 2007, before the election was ever even decided. It wasn't even close yet. I mean, they hadn't even picked the candidate when he wrote this. The things that he wrote in it were so prophetic. And one of the things that he talked about was how to destroy the country from within, is a self-eating, it's self-destruction. And that is by infiltrating both parties.
Right.
And destroying those parties, and then allowing when the vacuum, just look what happened over in Syria, and look what happened in Iraq when the former president pulled us all out of there. There was a vacuum. Who ended up in that place? ISIS.
Yeah.
When we got rid of Al Qaeda, there was a vacuum. Who ended up taking over? ISIS. We've got the same problem here. We get rid of the rhinos in the hardcore good, not the far right, but because not every Republican, myself included, is a far right person. I'm average. There's some things about the Republican Party, the conservative party, that I just go. You start with that, and you start down a slope that heads to something else, okay? And this guy's right. This Rocky Mountain Gun Owners Association, their ideals is to get rid of the rhinos, okay? But then their tactics, what they are, they're using the same tactics the Democrats use.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to be doing that as Republicans, but not on each other.
That's right. Yeah, we got to get away from the circular firing squad. We need to, pull together and start getting at the real enemy, and that's the Democrat Party. Now,
well, it's even deeper than that. It's the socialist.
Yeah,
we need to get rid of the progressive socialist, because there's some Democrats that are. God, I hate to say this, but there's some Democrats that are nice human beings.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I've known quite a few myself.
And they're being pushed out by this new progressive socialism, this young new, is like AOC. That anyways, that's my outlook on it. He's got a lot of points there. Yeah. What the RMGO, their ideals might be, and what they're doing is they're just playing at the enthusiasm of the average gun owner, like, gun rights. How about a little common sense with that? We've got those guys that walk around carrying their guns because we're an open carry state. They can carry them. Police come up to him and says, we're a little uncomfortable with that M16 hanging over his shoulder. Oh, but it's not. See, it's a gun and a blah, 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 blah. We're doing a Second Amendment test on you guys. Really? In a park with kids running around, you're packing a gun like that? Stupid.
It goes against, it hurts your cause, like you said. And
yes, and that's what
Rocky Mountain Gun Owners,
RMGO's doing.
When it started, I think they were trying to be a good organization, and then over time it evolved into this, Bible thumping. It got into other things. What they should have done is they should have just stuck with the Second Amendment and just not worried about all that other stuff, and get candidates that support the Second Amendment, help them get elected. Don't, just because one state rep or state senator supported a bill that you didn't agree with, that's no reason to try to get rid of that person.
Well, it comes down to the fact, if that person... I'm going to kill them dogs. I'm going to what Mason, I want you to know, I carry two, so I'm not against these guys for their gun rights purpose. What I'm against is these guys that walk around, and they're usually young people, and they carry their gun in the open, something that looks like an assault rifle, and they're doing it around a park where kids are playing and stuff.
Right.
And they're not teaching, but yeah, I'm like you, Mason. somebody shoots at me, I'm going to shoot back into conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Been there, done. I did some shooting back a few times in my younger days, but that was with the military, and I hope I never have to do it again. But if I do, I do. But you're right. What we need to do is we need, as conservatives and gun owners and Christians or whatever you're part of conservatism that you support, we need to find people in the primaries, to run against the rhinos. Somebody who's viable, not somebody who just, can pick up his Bible and wave it around and say, I'm a Christian, I'm a better choice, or pick up his, I support free range coffee, or I only support Pepsi because it's red, white, and blue. Oh, copyright strike, sorry. That was my can. I paid for it. That goes to the grumpy vlogger if you guys got a complaint, okay? But anyways, the point is instead we get single-minded individuals to run, and they don't stand a chance because they don't there we go, equal time. You know why I don't drink Coke?
Why?
Because their cans are all red.
Yeah, but red represents conservatives now.
But it used to represent communism, and they were the first country. They were the first cola to go into communist Russia.
Yeah.
Or into the Soviet Union. So I support red, white, and blue.
Well, Lloyd, you touched on a good point there about getting a candidate that's not a Bible thumper or somebody that's so radical. We had a candidate here. He was a state representative who was a former chaplain in the military, and they basically had to throw him out of the military because he was just too radical for them. And he has a YouTube channel, and we had an unfortunate incident where a woman who was looking for baby items on Craigslist went to this house to look at a crib or something. Well, this woman stabbed her and tore the baby out of her, and you probably heard that story. And he made an incredibly dumb statement on his YouTube channel by saying, she deserved it and blah, blah, blah. I'd have to go to his channel.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that too.
Gordon Klingenschmidt. So, I know.
Yes. I was reading what Mason, my four-legged kids are funny. Yeah, I had to mute my mic for a minute because the little munchkins are just, anyways. But yeah, they're annoying sometimes. But
right.
Yeah, we've got to have, I'm a Christian. I don't have a problem saying I'm a Christian. I'm an ordained minister, believe it or not. And have been for over 40 years. I'm not your typical preacher.
Right.
But I can still marry people.
Awesome.
I'm actually ordained I'm ordained through two different churches, and because they both follow the same premise. And
right.
I've actually got a doctorate of divinity, but I don't use that stuff, It's just a piece of paper, for the most part. But I'm a faith-based person, which means that, I follow a certain tenet of, you shouldn't go out and shoot the neighbor because you don't like their loud rock and roll music, thou shalt not kill. Unless, in my case, and like Mason says, somebody's shooting at me, I am going to shoot back. That's where I'm different than a lot of these. But I'm also I'm also a moderate in some stuff. There's some things that But I'm not politically correct, so I wouldn't qualify as a
You're definitely not politically
left
correct.
winger. Yeah, I'm definitely not politically correct. We all know that, And but we've got to find, well, somebody like you and I, somebody who represents just the average good old boy,
Yep.
or gal that's got common sense, brains, some morals, some backbone,
Right.
and doesn't hold to, people's. Well, example, I don't want to make a birthday cake for a gay couple.
Right.
But right down the road, I will make sure you get a discount at that bakery because they'll make you one.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Or a wedding cake, not a birthday cake. I'd make a birthday cake, but a wedding cake. But I'll call them. I'll even pay for the discount.
Right.
But I can't do it because it's against my tenets and beliefs. If I believe that way,
Right.
I should have that right.
Mm-hmm.
But we've got so many rhinos in office, and we have not presented any good alternatives to these people. We got to have term limits.
Yeah.
We've got to have term limits. Get rid of some of these old fossils up there.
I agree. Yeah, some
and I
of
think
some
this
of these
country can only
guys have
handle-
been in there 20, 30, 40, some even 50 years. It's
Can
amazing.
you imagine AOC being in office for 50 years? What the hell this country will turn into?
Yeah.
Dear God, help us. But the RMGO,
Yeah, RMGO.
they're just as bad.
Yep.
They're just as bad. They're using, we've got to have common sense approach to this stuff, and that's what
Right.
they're lacking. Their bully tactics don't work either.
And I want to bring up another person. This guy, his name is Matt Arnold, and he's one of Dudley Brown's cronies. I've known Matt for almost 10 years now. When I met him at a Republican function, and he ran for regent for University of Colorado, and that's when the wheels started falling off for him, because he started to employ the RMGO style tactics against his opponents, and he got caught violating some campaign issues relating to the use of party emblems in mailings. What he did was he used the emblem or the address of the Arapahoe County Republican Party in his mailings, which is a violation because he was in a primary. The county
Right.
chair has to be neutral, cannot pick the person that they want. Their hands are tied.
In other words, he was intimating that he was already in the fix.
Right.
He was already had the one.
Yeah,
because, look,
yeah.
I'm using their mailing address. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, and what happened is he lost the primary, and the guy that he lost to ended up losing in the general election because he damaged him so much by having that other candidate use his money to defend himself. So he didn't have enough money for the general election.
Well, see, that's the other thing we have a problem with here. Is our guy, well, and it's politics in general. I don't care which party that you belong to.
Right.
But the Republicans seem to be self-imploding most of the time because they're so busy. They want to get there's groups like the RMGO and several of the other groups. They want to get their guy elected so badly.
Right.
that they will destroy any candidate, even if it's in the same party, just to get their guy on the ticket. And
Right.
by then, 9 times out of 10, they have done such egregious stuff that they have destroyed their candidate that they were supporting,
Right.
and the other one, and everybody says, I don't trust either one of them. I'm going to vote for the one that's in office, so at least I know what they stand for. I may not like it, but at least I know where they stand. And when it comes to primaries,
Right.
we cannot attack our opposition. Instead of saying, and this is what this part of that book I was talking about. One of the things they talked about in this book was, instead of saying what's wrong with that guy, or like this, what's wrong with this fellow over here? Let me tell you everything that's wrong with him. Let me tell you everything that I think he's done wrong. Instead of, I should say, this is what I stand for.
Right.
These are my values. These are my reasons for running. These are what I will try my utmost to do for you.
Right.
Now, this guy over here, he's a pretty good guy, but he's not me. His way of doing things are different than mine. But let me say, this is what I will do for you to become elected, and this is how I will represent you. And I'll even represent him and the people that support him.
Yeah.
That's what we friggin' need to do in party politics.
That's right.
And for the primaries. That way, if you and I sat down and we disagreed on something, but we didn't destroy each other,
Right.
like don't vote for this guy. He's short.
Yeah. Don't vote for that guy. He's old. He's not very PC.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the point. That's what we're so busy doing. Instead of saying, well, and most of the average people say, I don't care that Art's short or that the grumpy vlogger is grumpy and old. I like them both. How do I choose? And then we turn around and get nastier and say, whatever else comes to mind. And it's just like, that's just, well, and here's the other thing. In today's political climate, I couldn't have said that you were short. I would have had to say you were vertically challenged.
That's right. That's
This is why I like you so much, Art, because you're like me. We're from old school, You are. I'm fat.
I can't. Yeah, I
I'm
can't
old,
say
I'm
you're
fat.
old. I'll just say he's senile.
Yeah, senile. You could probably get by with.
And that's not
and
a
you wouldn't be
river
lying.
in Egypt
okay?
either.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's not a river in Egypt. But this is what's wrong, and this is what's wrong with these groups like the RMGO.
Right.
And they're destroying the party. But guess what? That's their purpose. They don't care anything about the Republicans.
Right.
They don't
That's
care
right.
anything about the Democrats. All they care about is their own power.
Oh, power and money. And, and I talked about this on previous shows about how RMGO, they actually get more money in their coffers when the Democrats are empowered, because in that way they could send out these mailers saying, oh my God, so-and-so they're going to take our guns away. Send us money. And that's what happens.
Yeah.
So they benefit from Democrats winning, controlling the state house and Senate here in Colorado. And not only that, but they're a 501c4, which means that donors, they don't have to disclose who their donors are. So that means
Yeah.
there could be some Democrats, like
Oh,
George Soros, Tom Steyer, or even
yeah.
Pat
There's no
Stryker. They
doubt that
could be
this is.
sending them money,
Yeah.
knowing that,
They
that
probably
old
are.
adage, the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Me is my
So they
friend. Yeah.
probably send them
Exactly.
money just to help stir up problems in the Republican Party and
I'll
get their
bet
people
if a
elected.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt about it. I bet if a good investigative reporter really dug, he'd find out that their backing comes from somebody like the Soroses or somebody in this world, you
Right.
know. And Mason said something in the chat because I don't want to forget the chat too. And you need term limits. You also need to cut out all the perks that get some of them for they get too for their families.
Right.
Yeah. What's this? You know, Art, did you get insurance for life when you worked for the first job you ever got?
Nope. Nope.
What? Okay, you worked 2 years as a congressman, and guess what?
Yeah, you get
insurance for
you
life.
get all the benefits for
That's
life
bull
after
crap.
that. Hmm.
Yeah, and it's the thing is the way it's the reason they're trying to go from Congress and get reelected for each term that they serve adds to the amount. Nancy Pelosi, that's the reason she stays in office or tries to stay in office because that's going to make her even richer, and you know, it's stackable because they get so much for each term that they serve and for each office that they cross into. So
Right.
let's say they're a congressman. They get elected. Let's say they serve 10 years as a congressman, 5 terms. Then they get elected as a senator. Now they're going to get benefits and their pay grade will be representative of a senator as well as what they would get in the retirement from a congressman.
Right.
They serve 2 terms there, so 12 years. So boom, they get that money. And let's say they get nominated to run as vice president. So they win. So now they get paid as a congressman, a vice president or a senator, a vice president, and then the president, God forbid, dies in office. Suddenly now they're president. They get to run, they run 2 terms, and let's say they actually ran as was vice president for 2 terms, and just before the end of it, the president dies of a heart attack while he's
Right.
on the campaign trail. That guy is now president, but then he gets to run for 2 full terms. Okay, so now he's getting paid for 5 terms as a congressman, 2 terms as a senator, 2 terms as a vice president, and then he gets reelected twice, 2 terms as a president. And all that money is stackable. That's
Now-
friggin' ridiculous.
Yes, it is. But here's the caveat on the president. Say that there's a death where the vice president takes over. It depends on how early
How
in the
much
term
of the
and
term?
how late.
Yeah.
Because they could serve
Yes.
at most 10 years. Now,
Yeah,
say that, who was it? McKinley died early into his second term. And
right.
so Theodore Roosevelt serves out
Roosevelt
the
took
rest
over.
of that term, and then he could run again. And that's it.
Yeah. He served, McKinley died like 30 days into his second term.
I think so.
He was, I think, actually what happened, I think he ended up getting pneumonia from walking down the parade ground on
He was assassinated.
Oh, McKinley was assassinated.
Yeah.
That's right. The anarchists killed him. I was
Yeah.
thinking of
You're Tyler, I think you're thinking of.
Tyler. Yeah, Tyler. Yeah, that's who it
See,
was.
you are senile.
I am, because I know McKinley was assassinated.
Yeah,
there's
you
been
probably knew
4
him as a
presidents
kid.
assassinated. Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah, because I was real little when Garfield was assassinated.
Yeah.
And then McKinley, I was a teenager, Well, I was in my 20s,
There you go.
And I was God, I was starting to draw Social Security when Kennedy was assassinated.
There you go.
And, you know, God, nobody did shoot Franklin Roosevelt, but if he finally died in office,
Well,
I mean,
you know what? There was
he died with his mistress.
assassination attempt on FDR. Did you know that?
Well, it was an attempt. Yeah, I did.
But who died?
There was also one on Truman. There was one on Truman.
Yeah. Well, the person that died from that assassination attempt was Cy Shermack, the mayor of Chicago.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, FDR's not, he was never one of my favorites.
No.
And that's probably, my opinion of FDR was skewed because of my father, because he served in World War II. And,
Right.
He'd been shot and come back, and then FDR died. People were crying. He's going, he was just being brought off the boat. He says, what is everybody crying about? He says, well, Franklin Roosevelt died. He says, well, about damn time.
Oh, boy.
He says, I might not have been shot up so bad if he'd have run this war differently,
Yeah.
But anyways, so I probably got a skewed opinion of
Right.
FDR. And, and oh, my God, Eleanor, geez.
Oh.
You know how that's a face that gives you nightmares. She was just no wonder he had a mistress.
You were talking about the perks that the politicians get when they get to Washington D.C. You know what? If you eliminate those perks, that eliminates a lot of the incentives for people to want to serve more than 1 or 2 terms. Because originally, Congress was set up to where, they served, a couple terms, and then they went back home to work on the farm or take care of their business.
They had to. They ran out of money. They couldn't live off of what they were getting paid as a congressman back then. They had to keep their plantations or their crops running or their shop. They couldn't live off of what Congress paid them.
Mm-hmm. And that was part of the reason why they did that, and they went back to their farms was because in those days Washington D.C. was a swamp, and it was darn hot in the summertime. So a lot of the reps and the senators, they went back home to take care of their business, and that's how they represented their people in their districts. And
and before Washington D.C. was a capital, it started out in Philadelphia.
That's right. Actually, it was New York City for a short period.
No, it started out in Philadelphia.
Right.
The reason, after the war, the reason Philadelphia was moved to New York, because that's where they signed the Declaration of Independence and all that. The Constitution was ratified in New York City.
I see.
But it started out in Philadelphia where, in Liberty Hall.
Right.
The reason they left is because all the delegates that were there,
right,
the Capitol got surrounded because the soldiers hadn't got paid.
That's
They
right.
were threatening to shoot the delegates if they. Yeah, the Whiskey Rebellion. Yeah, they were threatening to kill. So they snuck out, undercover, and took all the stuff they needed from and that was under the Articles of Confederation at that time. But originally, that's where they had planned on it, but it was too close to where so they moved it to New York, where they had a little more security, and then the Constitution was ratified. And that in itself, setting up the Constitution, most people don't understand is all of those delegates that set up the Constitution after the Articles of Confederation, they were actually creating a second revolution, because the Articles of Confederation originally were not, and it said you can't replace this. But they did it anyways. But that's why they allowed the amendments, because they realized there were some things to. So that's why when they set up the Constitution, they set up some
rules and boundaries.
Give and take, rules and boundaries, but they also set up, you can add to this, because they'd set up the original Articles of Confederation that this is it, this is the rules.
Yeah.
And then they realized,
no amendments,
crap,
no
we missed
nothing.
a few things.
Yeah.
So they had to have a second revolution inside because there were a lot of people who would not, a lot of the original delegates that signed the Declaration of Independence refused to come on board with the Constitution because they felt it violated the Articles of Confederation.
Okay.
Little,
and speaking of the Constitution,
when you were there,
we could talk about Florida Representative Frederick Wilson, the cowboy hat wearing congresswoman who's made a statement about a week ago that anyone who makes or pokes fun at members of Congress should be prosecuted. Evidently she's never read the Constitution, otherwise she would know that that would be unconstitutional because it would violate the First Amendment of free speech.
That was it, the First Amendment. I knew there was something there that said we could say whatever the hell we wanted within reason. We can't. It's funny. You can't go into a theater and yell fire, though.
Right.
That's a little common sense,
Yeah, that's right.
But there's a reason for that because, caused a lot of deaths at one theater because somebody went in and did that. But,
Right.
But it doesn't say you can't make fun of politicians. That's our God-given right as part of it as a citizen, is that we have free speech and we also have the right to gather peacefully and protest our government, because that's the reason we celebrate Independence Day, not the 4th of July, Independence Day.
That is
You know what
right.
that is, right? That's where all of us old folks, we get out and dance. You know why?
To me, that shows you how
we dance
thin-skinned
in our
some of
depends.
the Democrats are. Well, he's making fun at me. I want to throw him in jail.
Yeah. Well, it's
That's
you missed my bad joke, so that's probably good. Yeah. Well, you just missed my bad joke about Independence Day. Yeah. That's what all us old folks do. We dance on Independence Day. Yeah. It's the day we dance. Yeah, but anyways. But yeah, and that's it, they can, here's the thing. They can call somebody a Nazi, a racist, a fascist, a homophobe,
misogynist,
as long as they're not
xenophobe.
Democrats.
Yeah.
A xenophobe. Last my understanding of a xenophobe was originally, I understand it's morphed obviously, but xenophobes is what they used in the sci-fi books. Somebody who was scared of aliens and flying saucers. Yeah. Now you're a xenophobe if you're scared of illegal aliens coming across the border. I got to bring up something. I just unsubscribed from somebody today that I've had a lot of respect for over the years. I've enjoyed their music and stuff, but I just unsubscribed from Willie Nelson's site today because of his song he just released.
Oh yeah.
And I'm pretty pissed about it.
Oh boy.
It's all about. Sorry about the language, but it's all about his grandfather who was an immigrant. It's called Immigrant Eyes, and that's fine. But he shows them coming in on Ellis Island, okay, and how they were treated, and like cattle. But he shows all the marches down at the border and shows he's pro, make Texas free and stuff. At least that's what I took from the song.
Right.
It's he's supporting people like AOC,
right,
down there on the border. And the difference is between his grandfather and those people down there. His grandfather came in here legally through Ellis Island.
Right.
And if by chance Willie Nelson is hearing this, bite me.
What are your thoughts about these Democrat nominees running for president going down to Mexico and making speeches there? I mean, I'm confused. Are they running for president of the United States or Mexico?
That makes. I just saw something pop up in the.
Oh, hello, back
okay,
from the sky.
Back from the sky. I see what you're saying. I'm thinking. He says AOC is a Republican plant. She's going to help Trump win. You're probably right. That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, that would be bad. Yeah,
it's called counterintelligence. Yeah, exactly. It's the counterintelligence type thing. It's disinformation.
Yeah.
Hey, if it works, you're right. I was a little worried there for a second. I thought, okay, where's he going with this? Yeah, why are they going to Mexico to speak?
Yeah,
because
that doesn't make sense to me unless they think, oh, those are our future citizens. What do they think?
Well,
we're going
to,
merge with Mexico, make it one big, Pan-American country or something like that, where Mexico gets absorbed in the United States?
Well, yeah, you're right, back from the sky. The word illegal doesn't mean anything in the United States.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, you're a conservative or Republican or a Christian or, whatever. Yeah, then all of a sudden, unless you are illegally parked, then they want their money. Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
Yeah. In this book that I've talked about here, that I've touched on, and or from this author that he sent me this.
Right.
One of the things that was talked about was after basically this country was almost destroyed and taken over, they had a president come in, and he put up a wall. He stopped all immigration into the country because we'd been infiltrated by terrorists. Okay, and they were throughout our government, and he had to clean up the mess. Along with they had to pass some pretty strict rules for a while. Well, when we cut off them being able to come in here, well, Mexico said, well, we're going to cut off oil. They said, fine, we got our own. We don't need yours. So they quit buying Mexican oil.
Right.
All right. And the wall was put up. It was secured. It was made tight. Mexico was desperate. They said, listen, so a group like ISIS, who was part of this group, terrorists, they come to Mexico, and they said, listen, we've been kind of helping you out in the back, so you owe us. We need weapons, we need an army, so you can help us attack the United States. They said, hey, we got that. We don't have anything else. Our citizens aren't sending money back to us because they all got kicked out of the country, so we don't have American dollars, but we got an army. They said, we got the money, we just don't have the access to an army. So ISIS and Mexico gets together, they attack the United States and immediately get their butts kicked.
Right.
And we push the border back about 400 miles.
Oh, boy.
But instead of keeping that, that's where they put the UN at. If you want a nice fancy place to live in, there's where you can do it at. But we're not providing you a place here in the United States. That was in the book, and it was just the guy that wrote this, well, he has connections in the intelligence community.
Right.
And some of the stuff that he knew was just, scares the hell out of you when you read it.
Right.
But his genius for understanding what needed to be done in the long run for this country was just unbelievable.
Was that author, his last name Kuntz? Stephen Kuntz?
No.
No? Different guy?
Nope, it wasn't him.
Yeah,
this guy, the only way you get his books is to know him. He sends these out surreptitiously, and you have to
you gotta know somebody.
Know him
You
and
gotta
have
have
access to him.
The secret handshake.
Yeah, for those in the know. And there's parts of it are a little provocative. I mean, they're a little adult oriented.
Right.
But but this it's called The Hunter, and it's about this guy that ends up, because of the terrorist attack, losing his wife and his child. So he starts hunting down who is actually pulling the strings for all this. And it ends up being a character very similar to George Soros and those other of that ilk. And you know why they were doing it?
No.
Because they were rich and they were bored. And they wanted to play with countries just because they could.
Right.
Kind of makes sense. That's what they're doing now. Because notice we got rid of the Taliban. We got rid of Al-Qaeda. ISIS pops up. Now, ISIS has gotten rid of, guess what? Al-Qaeda's coming back. Somebody is providing these people money, Anyways, I've digressed, but it was just funny that Mexico was in this because of the illegals. When we shut them off, they started going broke. That's why these politicians are down there, because they know that we're going to bail them out when they go broke. That's why the president of Mexico said, okay, we're going to stop them coming up from south of us so they can't go north of us. Or otherwise, we're going to lose every dime we get from the United States. That's why what Trump did played right into that playbook from that guy that, And this book was written in 2007.
Wow. Now, what were your, did you listen to Trump's speech on July 4th?
No, I completely missed it.
I didn't hear it either, but I've heard bits and pieces of it, and the Democrats really latched on this little tidbit where he said the Continental Army stormed the airports, and so they're really going after him on that. And here's my take on it. I think either it was he misread something on the teleprompter, or he purposely put that in to kind of, poke the bear of the Democrat Party, just to, to see him go nuts over what he said. What are your thoughts about that?
I think he does it I think he's got the most wicked sense of humor of any president we've ever had. And I think he does it on purpose. Because guess what? Every time he says something like that, the Democrats come out of the woodwork and start saying stuff and running their mouth, and guess what they do? They show who they are. He's poking the bear.
And now,
are there times I think he probably needs to be there's times he needs to shut up, but
We made fun of Obama when he said he went to all 57 states. We
made fun of Dan Quayle. Couldn't
spell
Dan
potato. Quayle with the potato. Yeah. And Dan Quayle is actually a very bright guy.
He's highly intelligent. know. I'll be honest with you. I'm not sure I know how to spell potato. I'd have to look it up.
Yeah.
It's not a word I write every day. How many days a week do you write the word potato, Art?
And not very often, not as much as tomato. Uh,
Or tomato, either.
or
I
tomato.
don't even write tomato or tomato.
Let's call the whole thing off.
All right, that's it. Yeah, we'll just discontinue those words because nobody uses them enough to. Uh, we'll change the English language. We'll make it non-inclusive of tomatoes or tomatoes.
Well, you know what? I just recently got my website up for my business, and a good friend of mine who's a computer geek pointed out you spelled the word "seen" wrong, and then I looked at it and I go, how could I miss that? I didn't. Instead of SEEN, it should be SCENE. Scene. That kind of
Yeah.
scene.
Right,
I
right.
always get
Well,
tripped up
that's the
by
problem.
words that sound the same but are spelled differently. Like there, and
Well,
there. You know?
there was a story that one of my English teachers told me when I was young, and they're talking about how hard it is to spell English. And this poor guy comes from Russia, from Lithuania or someplace like that,
Right?
and and he's learning English,
Uh huh.
and he's like the word through, THREW,
Yeah.
THRU, all these different ways of spelling through,
Mm-hmm.
and then thorough. You got through and thorough, THOROUGH and THROUGH. He just is boggling his mind. He finally thinks he's getting it down. And he goes back to English, he'd been going to English class and writing it down and learning everything. Finally, one day he gets up and he looks at the newspaper. He goes to the teacher of the English class that day. He says, I quit. He says, what do you mean? He says, there's no way I can understand this language. He says, you've been doing so well. You're really advancing. You're doing so. What's wrong? Well, I picked up the paper today and there was a great big headline. It said, Smith pronounced Guilty. Smith pronounced guilty. I don't understand that at all. I quit.
Oh,
That's
and the 2, 2, and 2 is another one.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
whole and whole.
yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's actually they've actually invented a word that there's a word that represents words that sound alike and they're spelled differently. I can't remember that right now,
Oh
which is
yeah.
bad because that's
Oh,
makes you like that
onomatopoeia.
joke. Yeah. Might be. I can't remember what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that might be it. But yeah, the English language does, and I get messed up. My problem is I usually leave a letter or something.
Oh boy. Really, it's the hound.
Yeah, it might be my housekeepers. Let me go check on them real quick,
All
and you
right,
can
all
take
right.
off
I'll
with
hold the
what you need
phone
to
for
do.
you.
All right.
All right. All right. Mason Kaiser, back from the sky. Hey, welcome to the show. Oh yeah, knife. Yeah. Psychology. Yeah, that's another weird thing. The PS sound. Psychology uh, and stuff like that. It's just. How about the English spelling? They spell words like color. They do something weird, like they add a U in there. What the heck is that all about? Or labor. They put a U in there too. You know, it's just mind-boggling. Uh, I like to, my favorite thing is when someone says something and I'll say the P is silent, like the P in swimming. Or the letter is silent, like the P in swimming. Yeah, center, yeah. TRE or TER, yeah. That's another one that's color, COLOUR. And we spell it without the U. And we say controversy, they say controversy. But here's one that Greg Cooner kind of corrected me on. It is aluminum. It should be pronounced aluminium. If you look at it, it was spelled the way it said. Yeah, secretary or secretary. Yeah. Yep. So who knew when you came to a conservative talk show you would learn about English spelling? So those are the things I've got to say. You know, that gal, Frederick Wilson, I've seen her in politics. She's been around for many, many years. I could go to her Wikipedia page. Lloyd. Oh, he lost internet. Oh, no. Okay. Oh, Frederica Wilson. That's how you pronounce her name. She was a congresswoman from the 17th district from 2011 to 13, and she's now congresswoman from the 24th district, 2013 to present. She was also a Florida state senator and a Florida state representative. So she's been in office from 1998. So she's been around a long, long time. So it looks like Lloyd is not coming back. He's lost internet. So we'll have to end it on that note, unless Lloyd jumps back in. I want to homonyms. Okay. Thank you, back from the sky. Yes. All right. So I just want to thank you and Lloyd for coming on. I want to wish you all a fantastic week. Come back here next week. Before I sign off, I found a really interesting YouTube channel called World War II. And what's interesting about this channel is they cover World War II chronologically as it happens. So right now they're into halfway through 1940. They started this channel in September, when the World War II started on September 1st. So if you want to learn a lot about World War II, they go in depth. They tell you about the economics of what was going on at that time in those areas, and that what precipitated those conflicts. And the interesting thing about it is this channel has been demonetized because, well, they cover war, and so the algorithms doesn't promote their channel. So if you want to help out this channel, please go to their channel, World War II, subscribe, and also if you want to be a patron member and help them out. And so I'm looking forward to seeing future shows. Right now, I'm kind of binge watching. I'm going all over the place watching previous episodes and backtracking to where I could get to the current date. So go check them out. They also have another channel called In Between Wars, so you can find out what's going on around the world that kind of led to the conflict of World War II. So go check them out. Very interesting channel. So thank you all for coming in, and please subscribe to my channel. If you click on the button in the lower right hand corner of the screen, that's where you can click on and subscribe to my channel. So thank you all for coming in. Have a great week. God bless you. God bless this great nation, United States, and God bless this great state of Colorado. See you all next week. Bye-bye.